to the second season of WION Business Masters, a show that offers you exclusive insights into the journeys and strategies of global business leaders and how they have placed India at the top of the world business ranks. And today we have with us a very special guest. We have with us Mr. Ananth Narayanan, founder and CEO of BRNDME Brands, which is a pioneering digital-first house of brands and is also India's fastest unicorn. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Mr. Narayanan.
Thank you for having me.
There's lots to unpack with you, but first up, of course, what inspired you to start BRNDME?
Three things, actually. The first is, I think brand building is being transformed completely as we know it. The reason brand building is getting transformed is one, there's a lot more consumer data available. Two, distribution is a lot more democratic in terms of being able to get to any pin code in India for 130, 140 rupees, getting to any pin code in the US for a few dollars. So it's now very accessible. Consumers are accessible. So that's changed. And third, the concept of brand building has become a lot more community-led. You're not looking at a face to promote a brand. You're looking at what your friends say, what your community say. So I think brand building has changed. So the goal when I started BRNDME was to say, can we build global consumer brands from India in this more modern way? So can you create a newer version, if you will, of Unilever? So can you create how modern digital-first brands can be made? And why from India and for the world? I feel like, you know, the last 20 years, India has exported IT services and pharma. The next 20 years is an opportunity for us to build global consumer brands, right? And build brands from India for the world. We have the talent, we have the consumers, we have the data, so why can't we do that? So that was the inspiration. Can we create some global consumer brands in a very different way from India?
And I think it's been quite a success because BRNDME became a unicorn in just a span of 6 months. How was that? I mean, what key decisions did you take to reach that milestone?
So look, I mean, I'm not hugely into valuations. I think you need capital to grow businesses and you have a certain ownership. So those are the reality, and the real focus we have always had is, can we build a great business which is EBITDA profitable, cash flow generating, with 3, 4, 5, 6 brands that become household names. That's always been our focus. Right. I think we've been very fortunate to have great investors along the way who believe in us and who have continued to believe in us. We're now 4 years old, and we're continuing to sort of see if we can go public soon. So the same set of investors are continuing to work with us. So valuations are points of time. Businesses are long-term and real. So my focus has always been, how do I raise the least amount of capital to make sure that we can build a very large business?
And if my research is correct, one of the interviews, you said that founding something takes a leap of faith akin to jumping off a plane without a parachute. How, if you had to talk to us about that regarding BRNDME, how would you put it?
So look, firstly, I was a professional consultant for 15 years, right? I was in McKinsey for a long time. And then I was the CEO, professional CEO of Myntra. And then I became part founder by putting in some money into MedLife. And this one was sort of starting fully from the scratch. You know, there are so many uncertainties, so many things that can go wrong, right? So nobody logical would basically say, I want to start something. So the reason I had sort of come up with that analogy a little bit is, you don't know what you don't know, but yet you've made the... it's a lot of uncertainty. But I'll tell you why I did it. Why I did it is, I feel like if we can create 4 or 5 global consumer brands from India, I mean, wouldn't that be truly special? Wouldn't that be amazing? I think that was sort of the inspiration which says, okay, I'll deal with this uncertainty, but in the hope that we'll actually get to a point where 15 years from now, we'll look back and say, look, we've created, I don't know, Majestic Pure has become the largest global aromatherapy brand in the world, right? I mean, is that possible? I think so. Is it like a lot of work and a lot of uncertainty? Yes. So I think having an exciting vision and then being okay with the uncertainty, I think, is the reason why it makes it so difficult.
Looking at the bigger goal, of course. And like you mentioned, Mr. Narayanan, you've worked with, you were the former CEO of Myntra, then MedLife, 15 years in consultancy. How have all these diverse roles contributed to your approach at BRNDME?
So, I'm a big believer that life is cumulative. So all experiences build on one another, right? Okay. So I think there are 2 things from McKinsey. One is problem solving, which is being able to sort of look at a problem, break it out into parts, being able to analyze something, because you're always in something new, right, in consulting. So you have to learn to understand new businesses, new industries, and solve problems. And the second is you have to learn to deal with people, because you deal with clients who are very different from you. And so how do you sort of deal with people? Those two, I think, are still very useful for me, even in brand.me. I think Myntra taught me a lot about technology and scale.
And fashion.
And fashion, right? All three. And I think all three are actually been quite important for me in this as well. And MedLife taught me the value of cash flows, saying a business needs to generate cash. And if it doesn't generate cash, it's very hard to sustain a business. So I think all these three have sort of come together in what we're trying to now build at brand.me.
That's really interesting. And talking about the people aspect, you've said that a lot of stuff that you do is based on instinct and people, and that you bet high on people. Talk to us more on that.
So companies are people, right? I mean, brand.me is it's a legal entity. What makes it real are the people that work there. I think having a great set of people and a great set of culture is really critical. If you want to build brands, you need people who believe in brands, and you need people who work well together. So a few things, right? For example, at brand.me, one is we have a value called caring meritocracy, which is interesting, right? We are both caring, and it's meritocratic, right? You need people to perform. It's like a sports team. Everybody needs to pull their weight, but yet we're caring with one another. So we spend a lot of time on how do we actually build a great culture so that people work across functions. So in a new age brand, technology, the brand manager, the operations manager, the supply chain manager, the sourcing manager, the marketing, social media person, all need to work together. So how do we actually create a culture where people collaborate, have a common goal? How do we make sure that 1 + 1 equals 3, right? So that's always been the sort of genesis around creating a great culture and a great set of people that can actually really work together and make magic happen. So I think, I don't know yet whether magic has fully happened, but we certainly enjoy the day-to-day. And I think that is important.
Absolutely, and like you mentioned, that everything is cumulative. So what you do on a day-to-day basis, of course, adds up. I want to take that thought forward. How do you see brand.me evolve in the next 5 to 10 years? And what are some key central areas that you're looking at?
Yeah, so firstly, what we do is we actually have two segments of businesses that we're in. One is health and wellness, and the other is lifestyle. Health and wellness is about 60% of my portfolio, and lifestyle is about 40% of my portfolio. Why did we pick these two themes? I believe these are evergreen themes for the next 20 years. You can build brands in them. India generally has a manufacturing structural cost advantage in most of these spaces, right? So that's why I picked these spaces. In a 10-year time frame, I would love to see, we have 10 brands.
Right.
I would love to see 4 or 5 of them truly become leaders in the spaces that they're in. Global market leaders, right? So I'll give you an example. We have a brand called Majestic Pure. Majestic Pure is an aromatherapy brand, right? So we sell essential oils, body oils, massage oils, reed diffusers, anything that sort of helps you with health and wellness, right? Aromatherapy is like it's not yet very large in India, but it's very large globally.
But wellness is growing a lot in India.
And wellness is growing a lot in India. And India's always made essential oils and massage oils, but we have never branded it. We sell it in bulk. So the idea was, can we actually build out a global aromatherapy brand? And how do we actually go about doing it? And that has actually worked well for us, right? And I think, there's no Unilever, there's no P&G in this space. So 10 years from now, can this be the global market leader? The largest company in the world today in aromatherapy is $1 billion, $1.5 billion in revenue, right? And it's sort of really large. So can we create one of those? So 10 years from now, I would love to have 4 or 5 of our brands be really well known. Another one is My Fitness, which is a healthy snacking brand. We do peanut butter. And India, by the way, loves protein now. I don't know if you've had it, but I think, it's a really good peanut butter because there's no oil separation on top. So it's very easy to sort of spoon and eat it. And so can we create a global peanut butter brand, right, from India? We have lots of peanuts that are grown here. We export a lot, but have we really created a brand? No. And I think that's another opportunity. So we're looking to see, 10 years from now, obviously there will be financial metrics. We expect to be large, profitable, hopefully publicly listed. But for me, what matters is 2 things. 1, 4 or 5 brands that become global leaders in the spaces that we're in. And 2, we're known as a leadership factory for entrepreneurs. Right? And people who come out of brand.me become entrepreneurs in their own right.
We have to talk about your educational journey, especially your time at the University of Michigan, and how has that shaped your
I think Michigan was quite formative for me. It was my first time away from home. I grew up in Chennai. I went to school, college, everything in Chennai, and then sort of left home for the first time. I think it taught me maybe three things. The first is think sort of global high. So, if you think about standards, Michigan sets sort of global standards on a war. So, you're not just the best in your local thing, but you're best globally. Second is product development. It was one of my favorite courses. There's a professor called Lovejoy who did this course, who actually was spectacular, who thought about how cross-functionally people need to come together to produce products, which I think has stayed with me all through. And I think the third, perhaps, is just independence, right? I mean, you sort of coming from home and sort of living on your own, managing your finances on your own. I think so. It was quite formative. Loved my time there.
Yeah. Also, were there any early mentors or experiences in your career that had any kind of influence on you?
Yeah, I think multiple people in McKinsey are mentors and have still been mentors.
That's 15 years at consultancy.
It's 15 years of consulting. So I think I had some great mentors. One of them has retired from the firm, but he used to always tell me, you have to live your life day to day the way you want to, because otherwise you keep chasing milestones. And I thought that was an interesting sort of way to live life, right? Because in McKinsey, it's very sort of every 2 years you move up or out and so on. So I think living the day to day, I think, was very good. Second is just the importance of people and relationships. You have to invest in clients over the long term, right? And I think that sort of stayed with me. And I think that's true for me even now. I think investing in people long term has always been important.
So do you think that a person should chase short-term goals or the long-term bigger vision?
I think it's a little bit of having a telescope in one eye and a microscope in the other eye. You need to do a little bit of both, right? I think, look, if you're building a company, you need to believe in the long term. And I think you have to manage the short term, right? You don't change the vision. You don't change where you want to go. But the tactics of what you do every day, I think it is important, right? You have to hit a quarterly number.
Which builds you towards your major goal.
Major goal, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
With that being said, what are some core leadership principles that you follow? And of course, we spoke about the culture at BRNDME. Talk to us more about the leadership principles that you inculcate in BRNDME as well.
So I'll talk to you a little bit about, our vision is quite simple, build global consumer brands from India for the world. But values are actually quite important. Values are what you sort of not just hopefully put on a piece of paper or on a wall, but how people sort of live. So the first value of ours is think big. So how can you think 100x? How do you actually really think at scale? And I think that's important when you come in. You can aim high and then fail a little bit, or you can aim low and fail a little bit. Better to aim high and fail a little bit. So I think big is one important thing. The second is actually frugality. We've had that as a value from the very beginning, which is how do we, it doesn't mean you have to be cheap. It means how do you do more with less? And I think that's an important value, especially when you're taking investor money. It's important to basically make sure that you have a return. Every money and every equity that you take, you have to return it at some point. So frugality, caring meritocracy, which we spoke about earlier, which is how do we actually think about people, right? The fourth is consumer focus, which is, we're eventually building brands. How do we be in the top decile of each of our brands in terms of consumer experience, right? Quantitatively, when you measure it, how do you be in the 90th percentile? And the last is actually my favorite, which is execution. Sometimes you just have to get stuff done. People keep over-intellectualizing it, and I think it's important to execute on the ground and get stuff done. So those are our values.
And that being saying, what keeps you motivated in this very ever-evolving landscape that we are in, of course, and your company 4 years old? What keeps you going every day?
I think two things. One, people give me a lot of energy. So I think we have a wonderful team. We have an outstanding team. We have sort of brand managers who are very passionate about brands. We have operations folks who are very passionate. You have technology, which is sort of changing how brand building is done. So I feel like that gives me a lot of energy. People give me a lot of energy. The second is, look, seeing our brands succeed. We have one of my our party props is actually the leading party celebration business in India, and actually globally as well. It's sort of doing really well. And the simple tagline there is make every celebration magical. So every time we sell a product, I feel like we're doing something, we're bringing joy to consumers, and that gives me a lot of energy.
So basically, when you see your brands making some kind of a difference in the people's life, that helps you move forward. You've also said that it is perhaps easy to start in India, but hard to scale in India. What is the key to climb the ladder?
So first, if you think about a smaller brand, I think the product needs to be good, and then you sort of keep selling it, right? As you think about going from 20 crores to 100 crores to 500 crores, I think brand building becomes important. So you need pull for the brand. People need to search for your brand. There's a science and art to doing that without spending too much money. How do you do that?
Okay.
The second is, I think technology starts to play a real role. Today, on a monthly basis, we ship, call it a couple of million pieces, right? Couple of million packages. And I think that for that scale, you need logistics to work, you need technology to work, right? It's very hard to be very small and be able to do that. So technology, operations, etc., require scale. And I think that becomes the backbone of what we do.
You mentioned, Mr. Narayanan, that execution is your favorite part. My question to you is on that. How do you balance speed of execution with long-term brand building?
I think that's a terrific question. We have some rules around what you can and cannot do that damage the brand, right? And we sort of stick with those rules. We take a lot of time to come up with those rules, but then we play within those. I'll give you an example. So we don't compromise on quality, right? So for example, a product launch execution would mean, by the way, you have to push product launches on time.
Correct.
But the one thing we would not compromise on is actually the quality of the actual product, right? So while we push people very hard to say, look, launch fast, launch well, the go, no go is we actually have somebody who's a maker checker who say this product does not pass the quality test, right? And that you cannot launch. So we have few, not many, but we have a few things that we are absolutes, right? That we just don't do. And that actually helps with long-term, because long-term brand building is about trust.
Yeah.
And trust is about the product and product quality. Because in our case, we're selling products that people either wear or consume or put on themselves, right?
Right.
And therefore, making sure that the product quality is great is one of the ways we keep long-term brand building. That's the core of it.
Right. Just to take that thought forward, what does thought leadership mean to you in the context of building brands in today's landscape where we're seeing a transition into a digital economy?
I would say I think brand building has been transformed through AI and tech.
Yeah.
In the last 6 months, the amount of tech and agents that we have built is like 10x what we did 12 months ago. I'll give you an example. We sell about half our products outside India, right? And that happens in the US, UK, Germany, Canada, UAE, etc. Now, you need to actually work overnight to look at pricing, ads, all of that as we sell online. Now we have an agent that actually, an AI agent, that can actually do some of that. Right?
So the workload has reduced.
The workload is reduced. So you take every element of brand building, ads, pricing, supply chain management, demand forecasting. Can we create tech products for it? I'll give you an even simpler example. Because we sell online, we sell images, right? We don't sell products. We actually sell the image first, the catalog first. Now, generative AI is so good, we can take a picture of what you're wearing, and it can actually create a complete image, right? And a model shoot for what that is. And that sort of transforms the speed of launch, the cost of launches. So I think technology is changing every element of brand building. And I'm quite excited that at least at BRNDME, we're at the forefront of it, right? In terms of what we're trying to do.
Just to add to that, are you looking at any ramifications or implications of this technology which is going at such a fast speed?
I think it's good. I mean, there are multiple schools of thought on what AI will do and will not do. I feel like it will create space and time for us to focus on things that matter, right? I think really focusing on making sure that you understand consumer needs well, really ensuring that you're working on product quality and testing are things that you can do if you don't spend as much time on ads or pricing, right? And I think it gives us time to focus on the things that matter. So I'm a big believer that I think you'll do more with the same number of people, right? And so it's a net positive for brand building for sure, and generally as well.
Basically taking out more with less resources.
That's right.
If I could understand that. Before we start this interview, you said that you're very data-driven.
Yeah.
When you reflect on your leadership journey, what personal or professional habit is something that you follow completely?
So one thing I do is I send a weekly email on my priorities to almost everybody at BRNDME. I have not missed a single email in the last 4 years.
Including Sundays?
I send it usually on a Sunday evening. It's for the week. It's my priorities. I haven't missed it even once. And for me, it's a way of categorizing my thoughts, prioritizing it. And I think it's important, right? And I think, someday I hope to look back on all those X thousand emails and sort of reflect on what we've actually... Yeah. So it's a practice for me. I do that every week without fail. I've done it in MedLife, I've done it in Myntra. So I've always done it, and it's been just very helpful for me.
I think that's a great tactic to see what worked, what did not work, and like you mentioned, a reflection of how the past 7 days.
That's right. That's right. And it sort of keeps you on the ball, right? You have to sort of say, here are the priorities, and here's what I didn't do last 7 days, what I promised that I would do.
Maybe I'll inculcate that.
That's great.
But is there any core personal belief that it's a non-negotiable, that you don't compromise on?
Integrity. I think integrity and ethics do matter. I think, because I think business will go through an up cycle, a down cycle, all of that, but having people with ethics and integrity actually do matter. I think that's probably the one non-negotiable.
And how do you ensure that your teams stay inspired, motivated, even during tough quarters?
So I would say, look, it's all about managing energy, not managing time. Sometimes you have long hours, but what matters is managing energy. So in terms of inspiration, I think one, we celebrate the quick wins, right? Two, we have a tradition where we have something called BRNDME Star Awards, right? Where we actually have awards that we actually give out for different things, living a value, doing well in a quarter, etc. And that's hugely motivating for people.
Correct.
And then, I try and inject energy into every conversation. I think my role in life is how do I bring more energy to the room, and that's what I try and do.
And anyway, they say that energy is these days, it matters, like how positive you are, and how you deal with problems. That being said, what's the best piece of advice that you've received so far?
Compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. You have to stay alive for long periods of time as a company and keep compounding. And if you keep compounding, you'll build a very large business with large brands. Just have to be at it.
And what, according to you, are the main pillars on which a technology like Brand.me can build on?
So I think there's a lot that we're doing with generative AI right now, which I think is interesting. But look, basic tech and automation also really helps. So how do you actually predict demand is a easy problem and a complex problem, right? I mean, it's not what you sold yesterday that's going to sell tomorrow. So how do you sort of predict demand? How do you use tech to do some of that has actually been very helpful for us. So generative AI, I think demand forecasting models of various kinds, using tech to generate ideas for new product development has been very interesting. So now we keep scanning different sources to say what is trending in terms of search terms, right? And based on those search terms, you know that, for example, in our party celebration business, apparently the new trend is half birthday. Right? People are celebrating exactly midpoint between your birthdays.
And then they celebrate the full birthday
and then they celebrate the full birthday.
So it's a double celebration.
So now we've launched half birthday celebration stuff, right? So how do you sort of keep looking for new trends, use technology to get those trends, and then still be able to?
Keeping all the business talks aside, let's get to know you a little more. What does a day look like? Are you a 5 a.m. club person, or do you prefer waking up late?
I'm an early morning person, so I wake up early. 4:35, 5:30, something like that. I spend a little bit of time meditating. Then I usually try and get an hour of walking or some form of exercise, and then the day begins. But it's like my best time in the morning. It's just, no calls, no emails, no interruptions. It's a good time to sort of do some deep work and thinking.
And by what time do you wrap up then?
I wrap up by, work-wise, these are long days. I wrap up perhaps by 9. Yeah.
So you do try to clock in, seeing the sleep band on your finger. Try to clock in 7 to 8 hours.
That's right. I've gotten better. I think over the years I've gotten better with sleep.
In one of your interviews or keynote addresses, you said that luck plays a big role in one's journey. How has luck perhaps shaped your journey or played a big role in your success?
Look, I think luck plays it's a massive role. Most people don't acknowledge it. But I think it's the single biggest determinant. I mean, everybody works quite hard and everybody's reasonably smart. But some success, I think, a lot of times happens because of luck. Moving back to India for me was lucky. I moved back in 2010. It was a good time to move back. I mean, maybe 5 years would have been too soon. 5 years later would have been too late. Joining Myntra when I did in 2014 and 2015 beginning was probably a good idea, right? 5 years too soon or 5 years too late, again, would have been the wrong timing, right? So I feel like luck plays a big role. And even when we exited MedLife, I think So the one thing I will tell you though is you have to be around and ready for luck. So I think luck plays a big role, but as an entrepreneur, you have to just stay at it. And if you stay there long enough, luck will come to you.
Does that mean that you should acknowledge the opportunities that knock your door?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I think opportunities are there all the time. And I think the more open to them that you are, the more opportunities come your way.
Okay. That being said, is there any quote or book that you live by?
I don't know about the quote, but one book I really like is The Hard Things About Hard Things. Okay. It's a book about startups, which I think is just fantastic. It's written by, he's a very well-known venture capitalist, right. And it's a terrific book.
And how do you recharge yourself or perhaps stay grounded outside work?
Have hobbies.
Okay.
I collect wine, and I like wine, and it's been something that has sort of given me lots of joy. So, so you have to have a habit that you're serious about outside of work.
So you're serious about collecting wine?
I'm serious about collecting wine and tasting wine, yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to others who are watching you on this show and who want to become like you, what would that be? No
substitute for hard work. Keep a positive attitude. Smile a lot. I think opportunities come to those that smile.
Okay, apart from that, what would be the most important skill that you would want the youngsters to learn or know? So,
at a more serious note, I do think the world is changing quite rapidly. I think if you take a college degree, the college degree is not what it used to be. So, I do think learnability is probably the most important skill. So how do you learn some new things is going to be very, very important.
And thank you, Mr. Narayanan, for joining us here on WION Business Masters and sharing your journey and your insights here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Enjoyed it.
Right, and with that, we come towards an end of this episode, but stay tuned for our next episode where we uncover more transformative stories from industry leaders.